Hello, NBA fans. Every day we have news about the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm a Lakers fan and I ask for your help by subscribing to the channel and giving me your thumbs up. The Lakers are in a slump, and while they await reinforcements, coach Rob Pelinka could utilize a player with a two-way contract, Drew Timm, who had a stellar performance. But this is nothing new, because he has very high averages in the G League, where he scores very well, averaging 28 points per game, and also grabs many rebounds. In yesterday's loss to the Portland Trail Blazers, Drew Timm made perfect three-point shots. An opportunity arises for the Lakers to have a great player in the rotation. They just need to give him a minimum contract and remove ineffective players from the roster, such as Bronny James, Gabe Vincent, and Dalton Knecht, because they have added nothing to the Lakers. Drew Timm would be the perfect signing. He has a two-way contract, which limits the number of NBA games he can play, but it's clear that Drew Timm deserves a place on the Lakers roster to participate in the rotation. The Los Angeles Lakers currently have a record of 24 wins and 16 losses this season and will host the Toronto Raptors on Sunday. Drew Timm showed out in his first real chance. The Los Angeles Lakers suffered a shorthanded 132-116 loss to the Portland Trail Blazers on Saturday night, where Drew Timm made the most of his first real chance since signing a two-way contract in late November. The 6'9" big man was dominating the G League, but he only appeared in 6 NBA games. He was limited to garbage time in those, but the Lakers needed someone with Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, DeAndre Ayton, Jackson Hayes, and Adou Thiero out. Timm was the guy. The 25-year-old had 14 points in his first 12 minutes on the floor against the Blazers. He made 6 of 8 field goals to get there and looked like the absolute bucket fans know. He wasn't done there. The Lakers' defensive woes are well documented, which makes playing an undersized big man even more challenging. Los Angeles still can't let him go after what he showed in Portland. The Lakers must remake their roster around Luka Doncic if they want to be a serious title contender. It will take more depth and talent to make that a reality. LA should be looking for anyone capable of helping them win. Having Timm coming off the bench is a boost. Drew Timm earned his place on the Lakers in his first real chance to play. Timm showed flashes late last season with the Brooklyn Nets. He averaged 12.1 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 2.2 assists in 28.2 minutes per game over 9 contests. Fans saw his ability to score and put up numbers. It helped him earn a chance with the Lakers, despite his defensive limitations. Timm got promoted to a two-way contract thanks to his G League dominance. Through 12 games with the South Bay Lakers, he averaged 24.3 points, 8.0 rebounds, 5.0 assists, and 1.0 steal in 30.6 minutes per contest. Timm has made over 52% of his field goal attempts and proved ready for another NBA shot. He played just 17 NBA minutes this season before Saturday night, but got 29 against the Blazers. Timm finished with 21 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. He did commit 4 fouls, but the whistle didn't stop sounding in Portland. Still, the Lakers have to know his limitations. Timm is never going to be a lockdown defender. He is undersized and not an elite NBA athlete. Timm will struggle on that end of the floor, but teams must score to win. The 6'9" forward is just entering his prime and keeps proving he can get buckets against anyone. The Lakers were 29th in the NBA in bench points coming into Saturday's game. They averaged just 15.7 per game, and Timm got more than that by himself against the Blazers. Los Angeles needs more scoring punch in their second unit, especially with Austin Reeves out. Timm can provide that boost if given consistent run. He is on a two-way contract, which limits the number of NBA games he can play. Credit to Coach Redick for using him. There was a ton of mixing and matching for the short-handed Lakers. That made it even more impressive to see Timm getting buckets in Portland. The Los Angeles Lakers finally gave Drew Timm a shot in the rotation, and he kept getting buckets just like he has been in the G League. He doesn't fit the traditional mold, but Timm has an elite skill. The 6 feet 9 inches forward is a professional scorer, and the Lakers shouldn't let him go as he enters his prime. New Luka Doncic injury update drops after Lakers loss. Superstar Los Angeles Lakers guard Luka Doncic sat out Saturday's 132-116 loss to the Portland Trail Blazers with left groin soreness. Fortunately for the Lakers, their best player isn't expected to be sidelined for a significant time. Lakers head coach J.J. Redick provided a Luka Doncic injury update on Saturday, noting that an MRI on the Slovenian was good and that he was day-to-day with the injury. J.J. Redick said the MRI on Luka Doncic's groin was good and he will be day-to-day going forward. LAL plays the second night of a back-to-back Sunday against Toronto. J.J. Redick said the MRI was good on Luka Doncic, groin, and that his missing tonight's game was more an accumulation of his playing 3 games in the previous 4 nights. He's day-to-day moving forward. Ayton, knee, is also day-to-day. Lakers injury woes. The injury-ravaged Lakers were also without starting center DeAndre Ayton, knee, Jackson Hayes, hamstring, and Austin Reeves, grade 2 left gastrocnemius strain. While Reeves is expected to be re-evaluated in a week, nearly a month after he sustained his calf strain in the Christmas Day loss to the Houston Rockets, Ayton and Hayes are considered day-to-day with their injuries, according to Redick. As a result of their injuries, the Lakers were forced to start Maxi Kleber at center on Saturday, while G-Leaguer Drew Timm backed him up off the bench. Redick highlighted that Saturday's loss marked the 19th different starting combination he has been forced to use through 40 games due to the injuries. "This has been our season," Redick said of his team's injury woes, via LA Times' Broderick Turner. "You get one guy healthy, another guy gets injured. You get one guy back and another guy gets injured. 2 guys go out tonight and you play without your 2 centers. So, it's been our season." Lakers find a new gem, LeBron James, who finished with 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists in the loss, refused to cite injuries for the Lakers going 4-6 in their last 10 games. "At the end of the day, nobody is feeling sorry for us, nor are we looking for it," James said of the Lakers' injury issues. "The guys that are available, we got to go out there and play our game, play the way we want to play offensively and defensively and just try to right the ship until we get whole." The one major positive coming out of Saturday's loss was the performance of Drew Timm, who had 21 points, 9 of 12 FG, and 4 assists from 29 minutes off the bench. James had a lot of praise for the sharpshooting big man, noting that he could build off Saturday's performance if the Lakers give him more chances. Timm wasn't surprised by his showing, stressing that he was ready to shine when his number was called, which he did. "It's great to see all the work you put in," he said, via Spectrum Sportsnet. "That's the beauty of the G League. When or if I'm ever needed, I'm ready." Drew Timm speaks about his career-high 21 points and how the G League prepared him for this moment. LeBron James said that Timm's night, despite the loss, can help LAL in the long run if we continue to play him. The Lakers, 24-16, will next face the Toronto Raptors, 25-18, on the second night of a back-to-back on Sunday night. All indications are that Luka Doncic will be cleared to play, though the same can't be said for DeAndre Ayton and Jackson Hayes. Lakers have to move on from Bronny James before the trade deadline. Bronny won't have immense trade value, but the Lakers need depth and perimeter defense. Their cap situation makes things difficult. Rob Pelinka has to get creative. LA has several expiring contracts and needs to upgrade several roster spots to become a legitimate threat in the loaded Western Conference. The Lakers should have already moved on from Bronny. They waived Jordan Goodwin in the offseason to keep James and Dalton Connect. The youngsters are not part of the rotation and are not making an impact as Goodwin is thriving on the surprisingly competitive Suns. Los Angeles could use his defense and energy, but Pelinka couldn't admit he messed up in the draft again. Bronny is under contract through 2028, but has just $1.2 million guaranteed for next season. Rebuilding teams may use him to sell tickets and hope he transforms into a useful piece. It is a low-risk move that should give him some trade value. James is averaging 1.5 points, 1.1 assists, and 0.4 steals in 7.1 minutes per game over 23 contests. He is shooting just 32.5% from the field and has an abysmal 41.3% effective field goal percentage. It is difficult for Bronny to fit in. The Lakers need a defense-first guard who is a strong spot-up shooter next to Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. James doesn't fit that mold and isn't dominating in the G League when given chances to run the offense. There is still time for the 21-year-old to improve, but he isn't ready right now. LA doesn't have time to wait. They want to win now, and Bronny isn't helping. The Los Angeles Lakers should move on from Bronny James before the February 5 trade deadline. Fans won't like it, but it is time. He simply hasn't shown enough and can't even stay on the floor when the team is short-handed. The brutal decision is the right one for the Lakers if they want to seriously contend. Clippers legend, 12-time All-Star hints at joining Lakers after subtle shout-out to J.J. Redick. The Los Angeles Lakers started the season strong and looked like a team that could be dangerous in the Western Conference. However, that momentum has quickly faded as the team has struggled as of late. For LeBron James, he wants to finish his career competing for a championship. LeBron wants to compete for a championship, Rich Paul told ESPN. He knows the Lakers are building for the future. He understands that, but he values a realistic chance of winning it all. We are very appreciative of the partnership that we've had for 8 years with Jeanie, Buss, and Rob Pelinka, and consider the Lakers as a critical part of his career. The Lakers lost again on Saturday to the Portland Trail Blazers, and injuries are beginning to pile up once more. Head coach J.J. Redick has acknowledged that this pattern has become an unfortunate norm for the team. This has been like the normal all season: you get one guy healthy, another guy gets injured, you get one guy back, another guy gets injured. Just been our season, Redick said. With injuries continuing to mount, the Lakers may be reaching a point where additions become necessary. NBA legend Chris Paul recently posted a workout video and tagged Redick, sparking widespread speculation that the post may have been more than coincidental. But in the NBA, veterans communicate in subtle ways all the time, and a 342 tag is about as inside baseball as it gets. It suggests Paul is plugged into Redick's culture and is comfortable saluting it publicly. That's why Lakers fans instantly read it as more than a workout clip. It's a veteran point guard signaling he still has something to offer, at a time when the Lakers have been searching for consistency. Whether it's minutes, leadership, or just another steady hand in the backcourt room, Paul's post is a reminder that he's not treating this season like a goodbye tour, Heavy.com's Eric Anderson wrote. Paul has not been on a team since his abrupt departure from the Los Angeles Clippers, and both Luka Doncic and James would likely welcome him with open arms. His presence would immediately make the Lakers smarter and more organized on the court. At this point, the Lakers simply need a spark, and adding a veteran voice to the locker room may not be a bad idea. Paul's experience and leadership suggest he still has plenty to offer, and his recent actions make it seem increasingly possible that he is interested in becoming a Laker. Which teams could the Lakers make a trade with for first-round picks? The Lakers may be looking to make a deal for future first-round picks, but which teams make the most sense? The Lakers find themselves in a precarious situation. This year's roster needs upgrades. However, Indiana doesn't have much in the way of sweeteners to make those improvements. Misses on Jalen Hood-Schifino and Dalton Knecht mean the young prospects aren't there to put into trade packages, and undoing the Russell Westbrook trade and making the deal for Luka Doncic depleted the team of their first-round picks. Simply put, the Lakers don't have the means, as things stand, to make notable upgrades to this team. That makes the recent report from Kevin O'Connor of Yahoo Sports all the more intriguing. The Lakers appear to be looking to replicate a move made by Phoenix last year in which they would trade away a future unprotected first-round pick for multiple first-round picks of lesser value. The Suns traded an unprotected 2031 pick to Utah in exchange for first-rounders in 2025, 2027, and 2029. Those picks were the least favorable of Cleveland, Minnesota, and Utah's in each year, to give a sense of the types of picks the Lakers could see come back in a similar trade. In theory, it makes a lot of sense for the position the Lakers are in. What the team needs now is some flexibility and the ability to make moves now that Luka is on the team. Optionality is one of President of Basketball Operations Rob Pelinka's favorite words, and the Lakers don't have a ton of it when it comes to trades. The problem is finding a team willing to do this type of deal. The list of teams with a plethora of picks and a willingness to play ball is short. Incredible short. In fact, after doing a bit of research, it feels like there are only about a handful of teams on paper who could be willing to make that type of deal. Oklahoma City Thunder. This is the most obvious choice, and if Pelinka is serious about this, he should be calling the Thunder daily. There's an absolute trove of picks OKC could be willing to trade as, over the next 2 years, they have 8 first-round draft picks. The problem is that most of the picks they own from other teams are actually valuable. In 2026, they have the Clippers and Sixers picks. In 2027, they have a pick swap with the Clippers and potentially the Spurs pick. They do, however, have Denver's first-rounders in 2027 and 2029, and with Nikola Jokic going nowhere, those are prime picks to target. Would a deal sending out the Lakers' 2032 first-round pick for 2027 and 2029 Nuggets first-rounders and an OKC first-round in that span work? Brooklyn Nets. After OKC, the options are much less obvious and much slimmer. Brooklyn has a host of firsts, but they're also a team that is not competitive right now. That being said, it's hard to figure out what the Nets' plan is right now either. Sure, it's to tank and acquire picks, but their selections with those picks in the last draft were some head-scratchers. Would they be open to consolidating some firsts after making so many picks in the 2025 draft? They own 3 future Knicks picks in 2027, 2029, and 2031, all picks likely to be at the end of the draft. They also own a 2032 Denver pick as well as the worst pick from Dallas, Houston, and Phoenix in 2029. On top of that, if they do trade Michael Porter Jr. this season or in the summer, that will certainly net them at least another first. While they don't have their 2027 pick, the bevy of picks they have at the end of upcoming first rounds could make them willing to do this sort of deal. San Antonio Spurs. The final 2 teams really likely only make sense if the Lakers are looking to get back 2 firsts and perhaps some seconds, of which they only have 1 as things stand. The Spurs have a bunch of picks, but a lot of them are going to be valuable, like Atlanta's in 2026 and 2027, the Clippers in 2029 and Sacramento's in 2031. But there are 2 picks that are interesting in Boston's 2028 first and the better of Dallas and Minnesota's first in 2030. The fact that it's the more favorable of those 2 teams makes it a little more unclear if they would include that pick, but they also could be a team confident enough in what they're building, so long as Victor Wembanyama is around, that they'd include their own pick. Utah Jazz. Negotiating with Danny Ainge sounds like a punishment that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemies, but despite being the team that did this type of deal recently, Utah still has enough picks to potentially do another version of it. It would, again, be a lesser version, but Utah does own Cleveland's first in 2028 and the better of Cleveland and Minnesota's picks in 2029. Those picks are probably a bit too good to be included in this deal, but it also shows how few teams may be willing or able to do this kind of deal and the challenges Pelinka will face in completing it. JJ Redick calls for Lakers to remain level-headed following another blowout loss. The 2025-26 season has felt like a roller coaster for Los Angeles Lakers head coach JJ Redick as the team started the campaign strong before hitting a rough patch in December. The Lakers' slump has extended into 2026 as they're struggling to generate any sort of positive momentum. Even against lower-level competition, Redick's failed to get Los Angeles to play with the necessary intensity and effort on both ends of the floor. Injuries have forced Redick's hand when it comes to lineup choices, and he had to make do with another shorthanded squad against the Portland Trail Blazers. Los Angeles was without several starters, including Luka Doncic and DeAndre Ayton, so perhaps it was expected that they would lose by double digits again. The loss dropped the Lakers to 24-16 on the season, and 15 of those losses have been by 10 or more. Redick acknowledged that feeling discouraged after losing in that fashion is normal but implored everyone on the team to remain calm, via Spectrum Sportsnet. I think it's normal to feel defeated in defeat, if that makes sense, when you lose by 16. I think we have one single-digit loss. Yeah. But I do think the job of the coach and the coaching staff and the leaders on the team, the players, it's all of our job to remain level-headed. The natural highs and lows of the season can be challenging, and this season has felt like a constant challenge. Staying even-keeled over the course of an entire regular season is often what separates the good teams from the bad ones, and it's a good message for Redick to reinforce at this time of the year. The Lakers looked discouraged at times against a younger Blazers team, and it seemed like there's little fight left in the group after all their mini-spurts were answered. The game against Portland felt like a scheduled loss from the jump given who was missing, but Redick and his staff still need to figure out ways to keep the players engaged and more importantly believing in themselves. Things like effort and defense have been talked about constantly, but there's a level of confidence that the Lakers look to be lacking. The team returns home for their back-to-back against the Toronto Raptors, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not Redick can get them to respond with a spirited performance. JJ Redick discussed how Lakers will manage upcoming difficult schedule. The Lakers face a gauntlet of games the next couple of weeks, and their recent play doesn't inspire a lot of confidence that they'll escape unscathed. JJ Redick discussed how Los Angeles will manage the difficult schedule, saying he'll need to be flexible daily and read how the players are feeling.